Hi everyone, it's me, Tim. Today I want to talk about the new single dropped by Boards of Canada called Tapo 5, their first new single in 13 years. Actually, that's for my other channel, What's Tim So Excited About Today? Today I want to talk about production versus marketing budgets. Yep, I want to talk about money. Money. I say that's the root of every time someone asks me a question. Why'd they do this instead of this? Why doesn't this game have this feature? How come they made this choice? Money. So I want to talk about money, but I already have a video on why budgets have gone up. I'll link it below. By the way, the answer's art. I've talked about marketing before, and I have a whole video on that, and I'll link it below. But specifically today, I want to talk about budgets for production and marketing, which is often kept separate anyway. I'm going to define what they are, and then I'm going to talk about what's happened over the last 4 decades. So, the production budget is everything having to do with the development of the game. This can be pre-production, where it's just a few designers talking and some concept art being made. It can include if you decide not to make your own IP, but you want to license an IP. It includes the licensing costs. Then it's all the development from start to finish, along with that rising QA budget, because you probably start without many QA or none at all, but by the end you got a lot. That whole thing summed up is your production budget. But then there's another big budget. And you know, I like big budgets, and I cannot lie. It's the marketing budget. The marketing budget is all the money spent trying to get people to buy the game. This includes advertisements. This includes press relations events, conferences, printing out any materials. Swag usually comes out of marketing. So if you have like a cool plushie from a game you like, it was probably the marketing department's budget that created that. Especially if you didn't buy it. If you bought it, then maybe that's a way they can recoup some of the costs of that. But all of that stuff together, if it's not somebody actively working on making the game, marketing. When I started many years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, the marketing budget used to be far less than the production budget. Often so much less that it was sometimes zero or effectively zero. You know, I've mentioned that Fallout didn't have a big marketing budget. We had an ad or two. That was probably it. I know we showed off at one conference. It was either E3 or CS. And they made a couple foam core boards, because I've got one on the wall here. It's about the extent to which Fallout was marketed. But it did really well anyway, and then Fallout 2 got a much bigger marketing budget and a cover on Computer Gaming World, which I coveted. Interesting, though, is now a marketing budget is frequently as big as the production budget, and sometimes it's bigger. That's what still blows my brain case, is that some games spend more on marketing than they do in actually making the game, which may sound backwards, but let's dive into why that is. Let's talk about why marketing budgets even exist, and that should give you some idea of why they're so big. There's 3 main reasons you market, at least from my developer point of view. I'm sure a marketing person will come out and go, no, Tim, there's 12 reasons, and blah, 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 and they'll sell you on it. I just want to tell you, like, from my point of view as a developer, here are the 3 things marketing does. 1, it raises awareness. I'm going to break this down into 2 different types of awareness. The first one is just that the game actually exists. This is discoverability. I have a whole video on this. But because more and more games are coming out and the old games are still available, thanks to Steam and GOG and Epic, we have an issue of discoverability. There are too many games out there. When you go search for a game, if you try to search by name, dozens or hundreds of games come up. If you search by genre, there's a lot of RPGs, so you double down. No, I want an action RPG. I want an action open world RPG. I want an action open world nonlinear RPG. Still dozens come up. That's the discoverability problem. You throw a new game into that mix, maybe people aren't playing it. But the second part of awareness is more of an informing part. Not that the game exists, but what the game is. This is the type of thing where you're trying to tell potential buyers, hey, this is what the story's like in this game. This is what the features are like. This is why, and I know people get mad about this, they frequently say from the makers of another game, because they're trying to, I know you guys are trying, you think, oh, they're just trying to sell it. Well, of course they are. Duh. What they're really trying to do is give you some idea of what the game might be like, to put it at least in the space, in this ginormous space of games. It's like over here. Now, you guys may be mad that it's here and not here, but in the enormous space of games, me just saying, look, it's a Tim Kaine game, puts you in one particular tiny little section of this giant space of games. So that's the two big awareness things that marketing budgets try to address. Then there's a second one, which I called image. This is separate than awareness, because they're not really trying to tell you that the game exists, and they're not really trying to tell you what it is. They're trying to project this image. When you have a lot of ads for a product, the idea is, well, it must be good, right? I'm seeing it everywhere. It must be good. I saw it on a billboard. I saw it on the side of a building. A truck went by that said, buy this game. What's interesting to me is so many people deny that this works on them. It's one of those things, like I said, everybody says they're a good driver, and guess what? Most of you are just average drivers, because that's how it works. Most people deny that advertising works on them, but study after study after study shows that people are more likely to buy something that they've heard of before. And the weird thing about these studies, and I remember talking with a marketing person about this, and she showed me the source, but this was 20 years ago, so I couldn't find it. Studies show that even if what they heard about was a bad thing, that within a few weeks to a few months, depending on the person, it doesn't matter the reason they heard it was bad. All that matters is they heard about it. So if somebody hears like, this dishwashing liquid isn't very good, everyone's talking about, this dishwashing liquid isn't very good. A few months later, when they're in the store and they see some dishwashing liquid, most people just go, oh, I've heard of that. And you buy it over the house brand. Now, there are some people who maintain a connotation, so they look at it and they go, oh, I've heard of that. Why do I feel weird? Even then, they sometimes still buy it. If they can't remember, oh yeah, this was the one that didn't suds up very much, they buy it anyway. So just doing a lot of ads for a game will make some people, and depending on who you talk to in marketing, a lot of people think it's a good game just because it has so many ads. They saturate basically the consciousness of gamers for a while. And then the third one is ratings. I'm not saying that the marketing budget is used to purchase a higher rating, because that would be illegal. You can't literally give money to a reviewer and say, here's some money. Give my game a really good review. However, there are a lot of legal ways that money can be used with journalists and influencers and in marketing ways to make your rating go up. Frequently, this is done with trips. Oh, we're going to fly everybody into our office in sunny Southern California to take a look at the game in the afternoon. And then in the evening, they're at the hotel. They can go to dinner. They can go to a pool. They can go do whatever they want. They're in Southern California. Yay, there's LA. You can't actually give them a gift, but you can take them to dinner, and you can take them to a really nice dinner. You can give them access to the developers, which is unique, which other people aren't going to get. Hey, you want to ask the lead designer why these features are in? You want to talk to the programmer? You want to talk to the artists? Here they are. Also, you can give them early access to the game. It's totally legal and frequently done where you give reviewers, a subset of reviewers, early access to the game. Who would those reviewers be, you might ask? Would it be the ones that have given you good reviews on past games? Is this ethical? I'm not going to answer that question. Is it legal? Yes. Do companies do it? Yes. Do you guys fall for it? Yes. This is the reason it's done. If all of you didn't fall for it, nobody would do it. It's why I get mad about spam. Never bought a product from a spam email. But because a few of you do, I'm looking at you over there, they keep spamming. It doesn't matter if it's 1 in a million. They keep spamming. As long as marketing budget can be spent in legal ways that make ratings go from here to here, they're going to do it. So those are the big 3 reasons marketing is spent, and it's gotten bigger. At this point, I should point out that it's not just games I'm talking about. This is true for all forms of entertainment. Movies are probably the most egregious example of this, Although TV shows, and especially now that things are streaming and hard to find on different channels or different streaming services, and there's a whole bunch of them, it's getting true for streamable too. But movies have huge marketing budgets, and that's the first time I had ever heard of a marketing budget exceeding a production budget was in the movie industry. But there are movies out there that spend hundreds of millions of dollars just to make you aware that they exist, and to have lots of ads, and maybe bring some critics in, fly them into Bali, which apparently is where the only good movie theater was, and watch the movie, to screen the movie. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. That's the difference between a production budget and a marketing budget, and why marketing budgets are going past production budgets. Anyway, have a good day.